Christmas snow fell in thick curtains, blinding and deadly, transforming the frozen forest into a tomb. SEAL Team 6-4 was moving toward a hostage extraction when 40 enemy fighters struck from every direction. Bullets tore through the white curtain, radios screamed with static, casualties mounted every escape route, sealed tight. In the most desperate moment, attackers began dropping, one by one. No one knew who was firing. No one saw anything, except a shadow on the mountainside, a mysterious female sniper changing the fate of the entire team. Christmas Eve. The mountains of Korvakistan wore their winter shroud, 18 inches of fresh powder accumulating by the hour. Temperature, -12°C. Wind chill made it feel like -25. Captain Mason Carter checked his watch 0342 hours and felt the cold gnaw through 3 layers of thermal gear. The mission brief had been clear. Extract journalist Patricia Morgan, kidnapped 6 days ago while covering the regional conflict. Intelligence placed her in a compound 12 clicks northeast. Simple in, simple out. Except nothing about this felt simple. 6 operators moved in single file through the storm. Carter at point, followed by Lieutenant James Brennan, Petty Officer Derek Walsh, Corpsman Kyle Martinez, Tech Specialist Owen Chen, and bringing up rear, Sergeant Travis Hayes, elite, experienced. But tonight, even experience felt inadequate against the brutal weather. The wind howled like a living thing, throwing snow in horizontal sheets that reduced visibility to arm's length. Each step forward required conscious effort, lift boot, from knee-deep powder, push forward against the gale, plant foot, repeat. The repetitive motion became hypnotic, almost meditative. If meditation could happen while your extremities slowly froze despite the best gear military procurement could buy. Carter keyed his radio. His voice barely carried over the wind howl as he requested helo standby be pushed back to 0600. They were behind schedule, and the weather was deteriorating faster than forecasted. Static crackled for several long seconds, then command's voice cut through, flat and final, negative. Aviation was grounded until weather cleared. Minimum conditions would not be met until 0800, possibly later. The team was on foot exfiltration only, no exceptions. Carter felt his jaw tighten beneath the balaclava. No air support meant no quick extraction, no overhead surveillance, no fire support if things went sideways. They were alone in hostile mountains on Christmas Eve, with a blizzard erasing their footprints as fast as they made them. The safety net every special operations team relied on had just been cut away. He acknowledged the transmission and told his team they were continuing to objective. No complaints, no questions. These men had worked together for 3 years. They trusted Carter's judgment, and he trusted their skills. That mutual confidence was the glue that held elite units together when everything else fell apart. Behind him, Brennan moved close, his breath forming clouds in the frigid air. The lieutenant had 12 years in special operations, more combat deployments than most colonels. When Brennan had bad feelings, Carter listened. Bad feeling about this one, boss. Real bad. The intel package was too clean, too convenient. Enemy positions marked with GPS precision, patrol schedules down to the minute. Either we have the world's best intelligence asset, or someone wants us in that valley. Carter nodded once. He felt it too, that veteran's instinct honed by 100 missions where something small and wrong became the difference between success and catastrophe. The valley ahead showed on thermal as empty, but the hair on his neck said otherwise. Predator instinct. The feeling of being watched by something dangerous. He ordered his team to stay sharp with weapons tight until further notice. Safety off, finger indexed along the receiver, ready to engage, but not so jumpy they shot shadows. The balance every combat operator had to maintain. Through the trees, distant village lights twinkled Christmas decorations in windows, oblivious to the armed men moving through the forest. The juxtaposition felt surreal. Somewhere families were opening presents, children were laughing, someone was singing carols. Here, 6 warriors stalked through snow that could become their graves, hunting other men who would kill them without hesitation. Chen raised a fist. The team froze instantly, each man dropping to a knee, weapons up, scanning sectors. Complete silence except for wind and the whisper of falling snow. Carter whispered into his mic, asking if there was contact. His finger moved to his trigger, thumb checking the selector switch. Ready. Chen's voice came back tense. negative on visual contact. But he was picking up radio traffic on multiple frequencies. Military band, encrypted, professional protocol, and close signal strength indicated transmitters within 2 kilometers, maybe less. Multiple units coordinating movement. Carter felt ice in his gut that had nothing to do with temperature. Multiple radios meant multiple units, coordinated, waiting. This was not a small security detail guarding a hostage. This was a prepared defensive position, possibly a trap. He asked how many distinct call signs Chen could identify. At least 6. Could be platoon strength, maybe reinforced. Chen paused, adjusting frequencies. Boss, they're using Russian tactical doctrine. These aren't local militia. 40-plus trained fighters against 6 SEALs. Bad odds by any calculation. Carter ran the numbers, ammunition load, available cover, escape routes. None of the math looked good. But Patricia Morgan was running out of time. Every hour increased the probability her captors would move her or execute her. The mission clock was ticking. They moved forward with heightened caution, each step deliberate. Spacing increased to minimize casualties from a single burst. The valley narrowed ahead, steep slopes rising on 3 sides. Perfect ambush terrain, limited maneuver space, excellent observation from high ground, natural barriers preventing escape. Every tactical principle Carter had learned screamed at him to turn back. But the mission was clear. Patricia Morgan was a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist who had exposed war crimes in 3 countries. Her reporting had saved lives, toppled corrupt governments, given voice to the voiceless. If anyone deserved rescue, it was her. Sometimes you walked into the valley knowing it was a trap, because the alternative was abandoning someone worth saving. Walsh dropped to one knee, examining disturbed snow. Boot prints, fresh, multiple sets, maybe an hour old. He traced the pattern with a gloved finger. At least 8 individuals, possibly more, moving in tactical formation. They had been moving fast, almost running. The heel strikes were deep, suggesting full combat loads. Heavy weapons maybe. Hayes moved to another disturbance and found brass casings, half buried in powder, 7.62 rounds. Soviet manufacture, factory head stamps less than 6 months old. Fresh ammunition meant active supply lines. He brought one to his nose, still smelled of cordite, fired within the last 2 hours. Carter scanned the ridgelines through his night vision. Nothing moved except snow, but the green-tinted image showed disturbed areas where something had recently been. Fighting positions maybe. Observation posts. His training said, assume enemy until proven otherwise. His instinct said, assume enemy, period. But somewhere up there, enemies watched. He could feel their eyes, that 6th sense developed by men who spent careers being hunted. The weight of hostile observation was almost physical, like a pressure against your chest. Martinez knelt beside a depression in the snow, brushed powder aside carefully. Fighting position. Someone had lain prone here for an extended period, at least 3 hours based on the depth of melt. He looked up, face grim behind his balaclava. Body heat had melted through 18 inches of snow to bare ground. That meant patience, discipline. Professional soldiers, not insurgents. Brennan moved alongside Carter, close enough to speak without radio. This is a kill zone. They've been waiting. Probably since we inserted. Someone knew we were coming, knew our route, knew our timeline. We're walking into prepared positions. Carter acknowledged the assessment, his mind racing through options. Turn back meant abandoning Patricia Morgan to almost certain execution. Her captors would know rescue had been attempted. They would move her immediately, probably kill her to eliminate evidence. Push forward meant walking into the trap, but it gave them a chance. Split up meant potentially losing half the team in an ambush. No good choices existed, only bad and worse. He made his decision quickly. They would keep moving, but with modifications. Spread formation 15 meters between each man instead of the standard 5. Eyes on the high ground constantly. First sign of contact, hit dirt and return fire. Don't bunch up. Chen was to stay on those radio frequencies and provide warning. Even 5 seconds might be the difference. They advanced another 200 meters. The valley floor narrowed to barely 50 meters across, a natural funnel that concentrated movement into a predetermined kill zone. Steep granite cliffs rose on both sides, their faces obscured by cascading snow. Perfect machine gun positions up there, overlapping fields of fire, defilade from return fire, multiple fallback positions. Carter's tactical brain mapped it all automatically. Years of training, imposing military geometry on natural terrain. His instincts screamed louder now. Every sense heightened. Time seemed to slow. This was the moment, the threshold between safe and catastrophic. Cross it or turn back. No middle ground existed. Then Walsh saw it, a thin wire across the trail, almost invisible against white background, strung at ankle height between two trees. He froze mid-step, called out a warning about the tripwire, voice sharp but controlled. Everyone froze. Complete stillness. Martinez moved forward carefully, examining the wire. It led to a boulder 30 meters upslope monofilament line, military grade, attached to what looked like a flare trigger mechanism. Simple but effective. Anyone hitting it would send a bright signal directly into the sky, marking their exact position. Carter ordered them not to touch it. They would step over carefully, one at a time, maintaining spacing. But his blood ran cold with the realization the enemy wanted them to find this tripwire. Wanted them to know they were walking into a trap. Psychological warfare. Make them afraid, make them hesitate, make them bunch up or rush forward. Either reaction would be fatal. Each man cleared the wire with surgical precision, movements careful and deliberate despite the screaming instinct to run. But Carter knew the trap was already sprung. The enemy knew exactly where they were. The tripwire was just theater, a message. We own this ground, we see you, we're ready. Chen's voice came urgent through the radio. Boss, I'm picking up coordinated chatter. They're using tactical hand signals now. Radio discipline tightening. They know we're here. They're getting ready. Professional, organized, disciplined radio protocol even under operational stress. This was not local militia playing soldier. This was trained infantry executing a rehearsed plan. Carter had fought enough battles to recognize the difference. These were professionals, which meant the next few minutes would be brutal. A red flare suddenly screamed into the night sky, painting the snowfall crimson. The world turned red snow, trees, mountains, everything bathed in bloody light. For one frozen heartbeat, everything was perfectly visible. Carter saw them then, shadows moving on every ridgeline, dozens of them, rifles leveled, professional spacing, interlocking fields of fire, a textbook ambush position. He roared a warning, voice cutting through the wind. Contact, get down, move, move, move. The world exploded half a second later. The world exploded. Machine gun fire ripped from three directions simultaneously. Heavy weapons, probably PKM belt feds, firing in coordinated bursts. Bullets cracked through air where the SEALs had stood milliseconds before. Supersonic snaps that meant near misses measured in inches. Snow erupted in deadly fountains as rounds impacted all around them, white powder mixing with darker earth where bullets struck deep. The coordinated ambush was textbook perfect, overlapping fields of fire designed to catch movement in any direction. High ground advantage providing clear sightlines, numerical superiority allowing sustained fire. Whoever planned this knew infantry tactics better than most military academy graduates. Carter rolled behind a fallen log, ice chips stinging his face as bullets chewed through wood. He ordered return fire and for everyone to find cover. Training took over: assess, acquire, engage, find the threat, eliminate it, survive. The team responded with years of training overriding panic. Muzzle flashes erupted from SEAL positions, controlled pairs, aimed fire, ammunition conservation already a concern. But for every one of their guns, there were 6 or 7 enemy weapons hammering down. The math was brutal. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and caught in a prepared kill zone. A mortar round landed 30 meters away. The concussion wave hit like a physical blow, throwing snow and shrapnel in a deadly radius. Carter felt the pressure wave compress his chest, heard the high-pitched whine of metal fragments passing overhead. Then another round impacted, closer this time. They were bracketing the team, walking fire onto their position with terrifying precision. Martinez shouted over the chaos. Walsh is hit, right shoulder, heavy bleeding. Carter low crawled toward them, dragging Walsh behind better. Cover a cluster of boulders that provided at least some protection from the metal storm. Blood spread dark against snow, steaming in the cold, the bright arterial red that meant serious damage. Martinez worked fast, despite shaking hands, not from fear, but from cold so intense that combat gauze was freezing to skin, making proper wound packing nearly impossible. Another explosion. Hayes screamed high and sharp, the sound of a man in sudden, catastrophic pain. Shrapnel in his leg, the right thigh torn open, white bone visible through rent fabric and flesh. 2 men down in the first minute of contact. The casualty rate was unsustainable. Carter keyed his radio with bloody fingers, calling command with the emergency code word that meant imminent catastrophic failure. Troops in contact, heavy casualties. Grid coordinates followed, precise even under fire. We need immediate air support. Fast movers, gunships, anything. The response came through waves of static, each word a nail in their coffin. Negative. Aviation still grounded. Weather below minimums. No support available for minimum 6 hours. They were authorized to break contact and evade. Translation: you're on your own. Good luck, try not to die. Break contact. Evade. The words were meaningless. They were pinned in a kill box with wounded who could not run, surrounded by overwhelming force with interlocking fields of fire. Every direction offered only different flavors of death. This was the nightmare scenario every special operator trained for, but hoped never to face the no-win situation, where courage and skill meant nothing against simple mathematics. Brennan fired controlled bursts at muzzle flashes, trying to suppress the nearest machine gun nest. His voice came over the radio, tight but professional. "We're outnumbered 6-1, boss. Maybe worse. They've got crew-served weapons, mortars, and professional spacing. This is a prepared defensive position." Chen frantically worked his jammer, trying to disrupt enemy communications, but military-grade encrypted radios resisted his best efforts. "They're coordinating. Moving to flank us from the south. I count at least 4 teams maneuvering." Carter's tactical mind raced through scenarios, running calculations faster than conscious thought. They could not fight too few guns, too much incoming fire. Could not run, wounded would not survive 50 meters, and the enemy had them pre-ranged. Could not hide, thermal optics would find them within minutes. Could not call for help, aviation was grounded. Nearest ground forces were 12 hours away. This was it. The mission every operator knew might come, the one you did not walk away from. The one that ended with flag-draped coffins and solemn eulogies about the ultimate sacrifice. He looked at his team bleeding, freezing, fighting with everything they had against impossible odds. Brennan, who had a wife and 2 daughters waiting in Virginia. Walsh, whose shoulder was shredded but still fired single-handed. Martinez, working frantically to save Hayes while bullets stitched the ground around him. Chen, trying to give them tactical advantage with nothing but electronics and hope. Hayes, pale with blood loss but still conscious, still fighting. Good men. Brothers. About to die in this frozen hell on Christmas Eve because someone had betrayed them, set them up, sent them into a meat grinder. He told them quietly, calmly, the way a leader should. When everything is falling apart, we hold here. We make them pay for every inch. We sell it expensive. Make them remember they fought SEALs tonight. Hayes, pale with pain but still defiant, managed a grin. "Hell of a Christmas, Skipper. My kids are gonna open presents without me." Then came a sound that did not belong a single rifle shot. High-powered, distinct from the chaos of automatic fire. Different, precise. The crack of a round passing at extreme distance, followed half a second later by the thump of the shot itself. Long range. Very long range. On the ridgeline, an enemy fighter jerked backward and fell, tumbling down the slope in a spray of snow. The machine gun he had been operating went silent. Everyone froze for half a second. That shot had not come from friendly positions. Someone else was on this mountain, someone with a very good rifle and exceptional skill. The ambushers, sensing victory within grasp, pressed harder. Green flares arced overhead signal to tighten the noose, begin final assault. Carter could hear them shouting coordinates, directing fire with military precision. No panic shooting, no wasted ammunition, just steady, professional pressure designed to crush the trapped Americans like insects. They were good. Whoever trained these fighters had done it right. Fire and maneuver, covering fire, communication, discipline. This was not luck or numerical advantage. This was skill meeting preparation. Brennan's rifle clicked empty. Last mag. He reloaded with practiced efficiency, but Carter saw the reality in his eyes. They were running out of everything: ammunition, time, options, luck. The enemy knew it. You could hear it in their voices, growing more confident, more aggressive. They would start the final push any moment. Probably assault from 2 directions while machine guns suppressed from the 3rd. Textbook. Effective. Fatal. Carter made his decision. Chen. Destroy all classified gear, crypto, radios, everything. He turned to the wounded. Walsh. Hayes, can either of you walk? Be honest. If you can't, tell me now. No judgment, just tactics. Walsh said, through gritted teeth, shoulder roughly bandaged to slow the bleeding, that he could fight. His offhand weapon manipulation was sloppy, but functional. He could still pull a trigger. Hayes just loaded a fresh magazine one-handed, using his teeth to pull the charging handle. The leg wound was horrific. He would never run again without surgery. Might lose the leg entirely, but he could still shoot. Answer, enough. Carter began giving final stand orders, final protective fires, last-ditch defense. The kind of orders you give when everyone knows how it ends, but stopped as another shot rang out. This one punched through the machine gunner that had been hammering their position from the northern slope. The man dropped instantly. That boneless collapse that meant central nervous system hit. The gun went silent. 2 seconds later, a 3rd enemy dropped. This one over 400 meters away, trying to flank left through a gap in the rocks. Headshot. The man's helmet went spinning, and he collapsed mid-stride. Carter stared through blowing snow, trying to locate the shooter. Northern ridgeline, maybe 800 meters out, possibly more. Shooting downward at extreme angle through wind and snow and darkness. Impossible shot by any reasonable standard, yet someone was making them consistently. Brennan whispered, voice carrying equal parts hope and disbelief. Who the hell is that? The mystery sniper fired again. An enemy squad leader, recognizable by his radio antenna and the way other fighters clustered near him for orders, crumpled mid-command. The radio operator beside him froze, suddenly leaderless, uncertain. Enemy coordination immediately deteriorated as fighters looked around in confusion, unable to locate the threat, unsure whether to continue the assault or seek cover from this new danger. Carter's tactical mind snapped back online, shifting from acceptance of death to calculation of survival. Someone was buying them time. A guardian angel with a rifle and skills that bordered on supernatural. He did not question it, did not wonder about motivation or identity. He used it. He gave rapid orders, voice sharp and clear. Listen up. Unknown friendly is engaging enemy commanders and crew-served weapons. When they shoot, we move. Buddy teams Walsh and Martinez, Hayes and Chen, Brennan with me. We're moving to that rocky outcrop, 300 meters northeast. Bound by teams, covering fire, standard leapfrog. Move on my mark. The sniper fired. Another enemy fell, this one carrying an RPG that would have devastated their position. Carter ordered them to move. Go, go, go. They scrambled across open ground, dragging wounded, expecting the hammer to fall. But it never came. The unseen sniper had drawn all attention, creating a bubble of relative safety through sheer lethality. Enemy fighters were taking cover, trying to locate this new threat. Their assault momentum broken. By the time they realized the SEALs were relocating, the team had already reached better cover among jumbled boulders that provided overhead protection and multiple firing positions. From their new position, Carter could see the battle differently. The enemy had lost 5 fighters in 90 seconds, all leadership targets, all crew-served weapon operators. The attack was losing cohesion. Fighters were seeking cover instead of advancing, looking over their shoulders instead of down their sights. The psychology of invisible death was breaking their will, faster than bullets. Another shot rang out. An enemy with a rocket launcher, preparing to fire at the SEAL position from a concealed spot in the rocks, jerked and fell. The RPG tumbled harmlessly into snow, unfired. How had the sniper even seen him? That position had been invisible from ground level, covered from above. Whoever this sniper was, they were not just skilled, they were reading the battlefield like a grandmaster playing chess. Every shot carefully selected for maximum tactical effect. Every kill creating cascading disruption in enemy ranks. This was not just marksmanship. This was tactical genius applied through a rifle scope. Hayes, despite his wounds and blood loss, grinned through pain. His color was bad, pale, shocky, but his spirit remained unbroken. I don't know who that is, but I'm buying them a drink. Hell, I'm buying them a case of whatever they want. Carter keyed his radio on the emergency frequency, the one monitored by all coalition forces in theater. Unknown shooter. This is SEAL Team 6-4, call sign Blackjack. We're 6 operators, 2 wounded, moving northwest to high ground. Request you maintain fire support. We owe you our lives. How copy? Long silence. Wind, static. Carter thought maybe the sniper was too far to receive, or did not have compatible radio. Then a single click on the frequency. The universal signal. Message received, understood, acknowledged. The sniper was listening. More than that, they were coordinating. This was not random intervention. This was deliberate, tactical support from someone who understood infantry combat at the highest level. The killing continued with mechanical precision. Every 2 to 3 seconds, another enemy fighter dropped. Not random shots, calculated eliminations following a clear hierarchy of targeting. Machine gunners fell first, silencing suppressing fire that pinned the SEALs. Then radio operators, severing communication between enemy elements. Then officers trying to rally their troops, eliminating leadership and decision-making capability. The methodology was textbook counter-sniper doctrine, but executed with a precision Carter had never witnessed. Each shot removed a specific capability from the enemy force: communication, suppression, leadership, anti-armor. The sniper was dismantling their combat power piece by piece. The enemy force, 40 strong minutes ago, was hemorrhaging effectiveness. Panic spread through their ranks faster than orders could be transmitted. They fired wildly into the darkness, trying to locate a ghost. Some broke and ran, abandoning positions and equipment. Others tried smoke grenades, but thermal optics saw through the obscuration. Nothing worked. The invisible death continued. The sniper seemed to see through everything: smoke, snow, darkness, even solid cover when targets thought themselves safe. Thermal scope, certainly, but even that did not explain the preternatural accuracy. Wind was gusting 20 knots with unpredictable eddies. Snow reduced visibility to 50 meters at ground level. Temperature inversion created mirage effects even in cold weather. Yet the shots kept landing with surgical precision. First-round hits on moving targets at ranges exceeding 800 meters. Chen worked his spotting scope, trying to locate the shooter through gaps in the weather. I can't see them. Must be behind that ridgeline spur, about 900 meters northeast. He adjusted magnification, searching. Wait, I see disturbed snow. There's a hide up there. Well-constructed, professional camouflage. Whoever this is, they've been in position for hours. Carter asked about elevation. Chen calculated quickly. 300 meters above us, shooting almost straight down at targets. The angle compensation alone. He shook his head in disbelief. Boss, the math on these shots is insane. Wind deflection, angle firing, Coriolis effect at this range, temperature-induced velocity changes. Nobody makes these shots. I mean, theoretically they're possible, but the variables. But someone was making them, consistently, repeatedly, against moving targets in horrible conditions. Carter watched the enemy force disintegrate. Their ambush, so perfect minutes ago, had become a nightmare. Hunters became prey. The psychological effect was devastating, being picked off by an invisible enemy, watching comrades drop without warning, unable to locate or suppress the threat. It was breaking their will faster than bullets could kill them. Another fighter fell. Then, another. The rhythm was hypnotic, terrifying, like a metronome of death counting down their forces. Every shot meant one less enemy, one less gun pointed at the SEALs, one step closer to survival. Brennan counted under his breath. 15 down, maybe 17. They're falling back to the tree line, abandoning positions. Morale is broken. We've got them on the run. Martinez finished bandaging Hayes' leg with a proper trauma dressing now that they had cover and time. The bleeding was controlled, but Hayes would need surgery within hours to save the leg. Boss, we need to capitalize on this. Get to defensible ground while they're confused, then think about extraction. Carter nodded. The mystery sniper had given them a lifeline, pulled them back from the edge of annihilation. Time to use it. Okay, we move in 3-minute intervals. Sniper provides cover. I think they understand our intent. Walsh, Martinez, can you move with haze? The wounded operator stood, supported between the two corpsmen, shoulder crudely but effectively bandaged. He was functional despite significant blood loss. Lead the way, boss. I'm not staying on this mountain. They began leapfrogging toward higher ground, using the sniper's shots to time their movement. It became an intricate dance when the rifle cracked. Enemies took cover, stopped advancing, focused on the ridgeline. When they took cover, the SEALs moved. Perfect tactical synchronization without a single word of coordination beyond that initial radio click. It was a deadly dance, orchestrated by someone who understood infantry tactics better than most commanders Carter had served under. The sniper was not just shooting, they were controlling the entire battlefield, manipulating enemy behavior through threat and elimination, creating safe corridors for SEAL movement. This was tactical artistry. 20 minutes of careful movement later, the team reached a rocky outcrop that offered 360-degree visibility and multiple covered positions. Defensible. Carter immediately set security, establishing fields of fire and fallback positions. The firing from the enemy had slowed to sporadic, disorganized shots. Most were retreating or dead. He asked for a count, needing to know what they had accomplished. Brennan lowered his optic, having counted bodies visible in the valley below. 23 confirmed enemy killed in action. Maybe more, some rolled down slopes or are hidden in defilade. Rest scattered, running. Boss, we won. Against 40 hostiles with prepared positions. We won. Won. The word felt surreal. 15 minutes ago they had been writing mental goodbye letters to families. Now they were alive, intact despite wounds, holding superior ground. Because someone they had never met decided to save their lives. Carter keyed the radio again. Unknown shooter, this is Blackjack 6. We're secure in defensive position. Enemy routed. Request you identify yourself so we can coordinate extraction and properly acknowledge your assistance. Long silence. Then a voice, female, American accent, cold and precise as the snow around them. Stay put. Enemy commander still active. High value target. One more thing to finish, then I'm gone. The transmission ended. But that voice, there was something in it. Not just coldness. Pain. Old wounds reopened. This was not professional detachment. This was personal. 800 meters northeast and 300 meters up, Aurora hail lay in her hide, breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. Her rifle, a heavily modified M2010 enhanced sniper rifle with custom barrel, upgraded optics, and hand-loaded ammunition rested on a bipod, barrel still hot from sustained fire despite the cold. Around her, snow piled in careful drifts that concealed her position perfectly, the result of 4 hours of patient construction. She had been here since before the SEALs even entered the valley, had watched the ambush being set with professional interest, counting fighters, identifying weapons, mapping positions. 42 enemy combatants total. She had tallied. Well-equipped, well-trained, operating with Russian tactical doctrine. Someone had invested significant resources into this trap. She had marked their command structure through patient observation, who gave orders, who received them, who operated the heavy weapons. Had calculated wind speed using snowdrift patterns and flag movement, had measured temperature with a pocket thermometer, had even estimated the density of falling snow by timing how long individual flakes took to descend past her position. Preparation. The difference between success and failure at extreme range. 3 years ago, she had been where those SEALs were trapped, outgunned, watching her team die in the snow. Christmas Eve then too, same mountains, different valley. A mission gone catastrophically wrong. An ambush they never saw coming despite all their training and technology. 8 Marine Scout snipers had entered those mountains on a reconnaissance mission. Only Aurora walked out, dragging 2 wounded teammates through a blizzard for 16 hours, frostbite destroying 2 fingers and 3 toes, hypothermia nearly killing her before rescue came. The other 6 died in the snow. Good Marines. Better people. Friends who had trusted her leadership, her planning, her promises of a clean operation. The medal they gave her afterward, Bronze Star with Valor device, felt like a gravestone. They called her a hero for saving 2 lives. She felt like a failure for losing 6. The weight of those deaths crushed her spirit more effectively than enemy fire ever could. She had turned in her resignation 3 months after returning stateside. Could not stomach another mission, another briefing, another chance to get good people killed. The nightmares came every night, faces of the dead, their final moments, the sounds they made dying in the cold. She had come to these mountains to disappear. Built a cabin 12 miles from the nearest village, off-grid, isolated, hunted for food, fished mountain streams, read books by firelight, tried to forget she had ever been a warrior. The locals called her the Ghost of Winter, the strange American woman who appeared from nowhere when the first snow fell and vanished with the spring thaw. They left her alone, sensing she wanted solitude. She had sworn never to fight again, never to touch a rifle except for hunting, never to put another life at risk, never to lead another team, never to make decisions that resulted in body bags. But tonight, monitoring her scanner, old habits die hard, she had heard radio chatter about American forces entering the valley. Then she had climbed to this ridge and watched 40 fighters lay in ambush with professional precision. Watched them prepare killing fields, establish interlocking fires, coordinate their plan. Old instincts kicked in. She could not let it happen again. Not on Christmas. Not in the snow. Not while she had breath and bullets. Not when she could actually do something to prevent it. So she had built this hide, loaded her rifle, made her calculations, and when the ambush sprung, she had started shooting. Now, scanning through her scope, she searched for the last target, the enemy commander, distinctive by his red scarf and the way other fighters deferred to him even in chaos. She had deliberately saved him for last, letting him watch his force crumble, letting him feel the helplessness she had felt 3 years ago. Psychological warfare applied through a scope. There, moving through pine trees 400 meters out, trying to rally scattered fighters with hand signals. She watched him gesture, point, organize. Even in defeat, he was professional, dangerous. Through her scope's magnification, she could see his face clearly despite the darkness and snow. Her blood went ice cold. Recognition hit like a physical blow. She knew that face, older now, harder, scarred on the left cheek, but unmistakable. Dmitry Volkov, call sign the Wolf, the Russian mercenary commander who had led the ambush that killed her team 3 years ago. The man who had personally executed wounded Marines in the snow, shooting them in the head while they begged for mercy. The man who had laughed about it on intercepted communications afterward. Her finger trembled on the trigger. 3 years of nightmares. 3 years of survivor's guilt. 3 years of asking why she had lived when better people died. 3 years of therapy, medication, failed relationships, destroyed career. All because of this man. And now the Wolf was here, preparing to do it again. Another ambush, another team of Americans, another Christmas Eve massacre. Not this time. She adjusted for wind 15 knots, quartering from left. Compensated for extreme downward angle cosine of 37 degrees. Controlled her breathing 4 counts in, hold 2, 6 counts out, heartbeat slowing. The world narrowed to just her, the rifle, and the target. Nothing else existed. One shot. 830 meters through falling snow, through wind, through darkness, through 3 years of pain. She squeezed the trigger, the rifle recoiled, the world paused. Through the scope, she watched Volkov jerk backward, red scarf spreading darker red as his chest exploded. He fell without a sound, tumbling into white snow that quickly turned crimson. Aurora lowered her rifle, hands shaking now, adrenaline and emotion crashing over her. 3 years of nightmares did not end with a bullet. Revenge was not healing. Justice was not peace. But maybe, just maybe, the nightmares would quiet enough to let her sleep. Maybe the faces of the dead would stop visiting every night. Maybe. Carter watched the last enemy commander fall through his optic. The red scarf was unmistakable, even at distance. High-value target eliminated. He called out to the unknown shooter that all enemy fighters were neutralized or retreating. They were moving to her position. They needed to shake her hand, needed to thank her properly, needed to get her name for the after-action report. The radio crackled. Her voice came back firm, negative. Stay clear. Egressing now. This conversation is over. Carter tried to insist. They needed to debrief, coordinate extraction, get her back to base for medical check and recognition. What she had done tonight, the lives saved, the tactical brilliance deserved commendation, maybe the Medal of Honor. She was a hero. The voice was final, carrying an edge that brooked no argument. I'm not going back anywhere, Captain. Not to your base, not to your war, not to any of it. Good luck with your mission. Take care of your people. Blackjack out. The finality in her voice stopped him. Whoever she was, she had made her choice long before tonight. This was not about recognition or gratitude. This was something deeper, more personal, but Carter could not let it end like that. His team owed her their lives. That debt demanded acknowledgement. He keyed the radio one more time. At least tell us your name, your call sign, something. We owe you our lives. My men have families who get to see them because of what you did tonight. That deserves more than silence. Long pause. Wind static filled the silence. Carter thought she had gone. Then her voice came back, softer now, carrying weight that spoke of old wounds. They used to call me Ghost 3 years ago when I was someone different. Now I'm just someone who couldn't let it happen again, someone who couldn't watch another team die on Christmas because I was too scared to fight. Carter pressed carefully. Couldn't let what happen? What happened 3 years ago? What happened to my team? Same mountains, same snow. Christmas Eve. Her voice cracked slightly, and Carter heard decades of pain compressed into seconds. 8 went in, 3 came out. I led them. I made the decisions. I survived when better people died. I won't. I can't watch that again, not when I can stop it. Understanding crashed over Carter like a wave. This was not just a random Good Samaritan playing guardian angel. This was a survivor carrying wounds deeper than any bullet could make. Someone who had faced the same nightmare his team just survived. Someone still fighting that battle every day, 3 years later. Someone who had found a chance at redemption and taken it despite the cost. Then thank you, he said quietly, meaning it with every fiber, for making sure we all go home, for giving us a chance when we had none, for being there when we needed someone. Thank you. Merry Christmas, Captain. Her voice was steadier now. Tell your families you love them. Tell your children about tonight, if you want. Tell them someone was watching over you, but don't tell them who. Some stories are better left as mysteries. Some heroes need to stay in the shadows. The radio went silent. Final this time. With enemy forces scattered and broken, the SEALs regrouped and reassessed. The original mission, Patricia Morgan, was still active. The hostage was still captive, still in danger. But the ambush force that should have prevented rescue was destroyed. The path was clear. Chen accessed his tactical computer, pulling up the hostage location from pre-mission intelligence. Compound is 2 clicks northeast. Guards will have heard the fighting, but with their main force destroyed, they'll be confused, maybe running. We might actually pull this off now. The mission was not over, but thanks to a ghost in the snow, they had a chance. More than a chance, they had momentum, surprise, and the psychological advantage of an enemy force that had just watched 40 fighters get destroyed by unknown forces. They moved out, leaving the valley of death behind. In the distance, church bells from the village began ringing, marking Christmas morning. The sound carried across the mountains, incongruously peaceful after the violence. A reminder that elsewhere, people were celebrating, families were gathering, children were opening presents. Life continued despite the war, and somewhere above them, a woman was packing her rifle and preparing to disappear back into the mountains she called home. The compound appeared through thinning snow, a cluster of stone buildings surrounded by a chain-link fence topped with razor wire. Minimal security now. Most guards had been part of the ambush force, now scattered or dead in the valley. The few remaining fighters would be demoralized, leaderless, uncertain whether to fight or flee. Carter signaled tactical positions with hand signals. Brennan and Hayes took overwatch. Despite Hayes's wounded leg, the sergeant refused to be sidelined, propping himself against rocks to establish a stable firing position. Chen jammed all local frequencies, preventing calls for reinforcement. Martinez and Walsh, both wounded but functional, prepared to breach. Carter would lead entry with Brennan providing precision fire support. Chen whispered tactical intelligence gathered from thermal imaging. Hostage is in the central building, 2nd floor, northwest corner room. 3 guards on duty, 1 roving, 2 static positions. 1 thermal signature matches Patricia Morgan's height and build from her file. She's alive. The breach was textbook execution. Breaching charge on the door-shaped charge, directional blast. Flashbangs through windows simultaneously. Entry team flowing through fatal funnel in practice sequence. Controlled pairs of fire eliminating threats. 2 guards down in the first 3 seconds, both killed before they could raise weapons. The third tried to use Patricia as a shield, grabbing her from behind, pistol to her head. Carter froze. Weapon up, but unable to shoot without risking the hostage. The guard was professional, good position, good cover, using Patricia's body to shield his own. He was shouting demands in Russian-accented English. Helicopter, safe passage, standard hostage negotiation. 1 shot from Brennan's rifle threading the needle between hostage and captor at 40 meters through a window, compensating for glass deflection. Hitting the guard's brainstem ended negotiations permanently. The man dropped instantly, all muscle controls severed. Patricia screamed but remained unharmed. Patricia Morgan, gaunt from 6 days of captivity, terrified but intact, bruised but unbowed, stared at them with disbelief bordering on shock. You came. You actually came, I thought. They said no one would come. That I was expendable. Carter cut her restraints with a knife, helped her stand on shaky legs. We did, ma'am. You're not expendable. You're Patricia Morgan, and you're coming home. Let's go. Exfiltration was slower with an extra person and 2 wounded, but unopposed. The enemy was broken, leaderless, demoralized. Those who remained alive were running or hiding. By 0630, they had cleared the mountains and reached the designated helicopter landing zone. By 0700, weather had cleared enough for helicopter extraction. 2 Black Hawks inbound, medical support standing by. As the lead Black Hawk settled onto snow, rotor wash creating a whiteout, Carter looked back at the mountains. Somewhere up there, a woman was walking alone through snow. A woman who had saved 6 lives because she could not save 8. A woman carrying invisible wounds that might never heal. He picked up his radio, set to emergency frequency one last time. Ghost, if you're listening. Thank you doesn't cover it. Never will. But thank you for everything. For being there. For the second chance, we won't forget. No response, just whine static and rotor noise. Hayes, bandaged and exhausted, being loaded onto the helicopter by medics, spoke up through pain medication. Hayes, what do we tell command about her? They'll want to know who provided fire support. They'll want details, debriefs, medals. Carter considered carefully. A veteran who wanted to be left alone, who had intervened because conscience demanded it, then vanished back into the mountains seeking peace. Official reports would mean questions, investigations, pressure to bring her in, debrief her, recruit her. The machinery of military bureaucracy grinding away at someone who just wanted to be forgotten. We tell them the truth, he finally said. Unknown ally provided precision fire support from long range. Identity unknown, location unknown, gender unknown. End of report. If they press, we say the weather was bad, visibility poor, everything happened fast. We're grateful, but we have no actionable intelligence. The team nodded, understanding. Some debts could not be repaid through official channels. Some gratitude had to remain private. Sometimes the best thanks was letting someone stay lost, respecting their choice to remain in the shadows. But Carter was wrong about one thing. Aurora had not left yet. She had watched the helicopter extraction from a distant ridge, rifle packed away in its case, preparing to return to her cabin and whatever peace she could find there. 3 years of isolation calling her back like gravity. The solitude was lonely, but loneliness hurt less than responsibility. Being alone meant never losing anyone again. But something held her in place, curiosity, maybe, or closure, or just exhaustion from carrying the weight alone for so long. The SEALs had made it. The hostage was safe. Volkov was dead. Tonight had gone right in ways that mattered. Maybe that was worth acknowledging. Maybe some connections were worth making, even briefly. She keyed the radio one last time, surprising herself with the decision. Captain Carter, your bird leaves in 4 minutes. If you want to meet the ghost, there's a trail marker 200 meters west of your LZ. Red paint on white bark. I'll wait there. 5 minutes, then I'm gone for good. Carter's eyes widened. He looked at Brennan, who nodded understanding. Tell the pilot to hold for 5 minutes, maybe 10 if needed. I'm taking a walk, alone. He found her leaning against a snow-covered pine, rifle case slung over her shoulder like a hunter heading home. She was smaller than he had imagined, maybe 5 to 7, athletic build despite obvious weight loss from mountain living. wearing winter camouflage that blended perfectly with surroundings, professional gear well maintained, dark hair tucked under a white beanie. Eyes that had seen too much, carried too much, survived too much. But what struck him most was the exhaustion. Not physical, she was clearly fit, capable, spiritual exhaustion, soul-deep weariness, the look of someone who had been fighting too long against an enemy that could not be killed with bullets. He introduced himself formally, extending a hand. "Captain Mason Carter, SEAL Team 6. On behalf of my team, thank you. We wouldn't be alive without you." She shook it briefly, grip firm despite obvious reluctance for contact. Aurora Hale, former Staff Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, Scout Sniper. Well, former everything now. Former warrior. Former team leader. Former person, some days. Carter spoke carefully, aware he was talking to someone on an emotional edge. "The shots you made tonight. I've trained with the best snipers in the world. Carlos Hathcock stories. Chris Kyle legends. What you did shouldn't be possible. Wind, snow, angle, distance, moving targets, any one of those shots would be career-making. You made 30. She shrugged, deflecting the praise like it burned. 3 years practice, nothing else to do up here but hunt and remember. The mountain doesn't care about your medals or your past. It just demands precision or punishes mistakes. I've had a lot of time to practice." Silence stretched between them. In the distance, church bells continued ringing, marking Christmas morning throughout the valley. The snow had finally stopped, clouds parting to reveal stars. Christmas morning somehow survived. Carter spoke carefully, feeling his way through emotional minefield. "The commander you killed tonight, Dmitry Volkov. Red scarf, Russian accent, professional manner. You knew him, that was personal." Aurora's jaw tightened, old rage and pain warring in her expression. "He killed my team 3 years ago, Christmas Eve, different valley, same mountains. Led an ambush that killed 6 of the best Marines I ever knew. Left 3 of us for dead in the snow, shot the wounded, executed prisoners." She looked at the distant mountains, eyes distant. "I got 2 of them out through 16 hours of hell. Frostbite, hypothermia, carrying wounded while being hunted. The other 6. Her voice trailed off into silence, heavy with loss. "I'm sorry." The words felt inadequate, but Carter meant them. "Don't be. You got your whole team out. That's what matters." She met his eyes directly. "That's why I couldn't just watch tonight. Couldn't let another team die because I was too scared to fight. Because I was hiding in my cabin feeling sorry for myself while good people needed help." Carter said firmly, "You're not scared. Scared people don't make shots like that. Scared people don't build hides and wait in position for hours in freezing weather. Scared people run. You ran toward the fight." "I've been running for 3 years." Bitter smile crossed her face. "Tonight I just ran towards something instead of away. Doesn't make me brave, just makes me tired of running." The helicopter's rotors began spinning up, pilots signaling departure imminent. Time was short. "Come back with us," Carter said suddenly, surprising himself with the urgency. "You're still a Marine, still one of the best operators I've ever seen work. The skills you demonstrated tonight, we need people like you. The teams need people like you. Hell, the country needs people like you." Aurora shook her head. "Decision already made. I can't go back to that world. Too many ghosts following me. Too many decisions that haunt me. Up here, in the quiet, with just the mountain and the snow, I can almost forget, almost sleep, almost forgive myself. Your world demands certainty. I've got nothing but doubts." Carter pulled out a military radio from his pack, encrypted, compact, ruggedized, tactical emergency frequency, battery good for 3 years. "Then take this, encrypted emergency channel. If you ever need anything extraction, support, medical, supplies, or just someone to talk to who understands we're here, day or night, no questions asked. That's a promise." She hesitated, then took the radio, turning it over in her hands. "And if you ever need a guardian angel? Someone watching from the high ground? Then we know who to call." He smiled genuinely. "Merry Christmas, Ghost. Thank you for the gift, for all of us. Merry Christmas, Captain. Take care of your people. And tell them some ghosts are friendly." Carter jogged back toward the LZ. boots crunching in snow. When he turned at the tree line for one last look, she was already gone. Vanished into the forest like her namesake, leaving only footprints that snow would soon erase. The Black Hawk lifted through clearing skies, rising above the mountains that had nearly become their graves. Dawn was breaking, painting snow-covered peaks in shades of gold, pink, and orange. Christmas morning in its full glory, beautiful and indifferent to the violence that had occurred below. Walsh, shoulder bandaged, professionally now by base medics who had come with the helicopters, looked out the window at the mountains receding below. We really gonna just let her walk away? The shots she made. Command would kill for intel on her techniques. That's generational talent. Olympic-level skills applied to combat. Carter pulled out the encrypted radio, set to the frequency he had given Aurora. He keyed it once, a simple message in Morse code, dots and dashes that any military operator would recognize. One letter, T, for thanks. A few seconds later, a single click came back through the speaker. Acknowledgement. She was listening. She would be listening. Yeah, Carter said quietly. We let her walk away. She earned that much, earned the right to choose her own path. Maybe someday she'll come back, maybe not. Either way, we respect her choice. Patricia Morgan, wrapped in thermal blankets and drinking hot coffee provided by the crew chief, spoke up. Her voice was hoarse from days of captivity. Who was she? The woman who saved us? The woman whose rifle I heard but never saw? The SEALs exchanged glances, silent communication passing between men who had survived the impossible together. Hayes answered, his words careful and true. Someone who couldn't let good people die on Christmas. Someone who knows what it costs to lose your team. Someone who chose to fight when she didn't have to. That's all that matters. Back in the mountains, Aurora sat in her cabin, wood stove crackling with fresh split pine, the encrypted radio on the table beside her tea. She had made tea first time in 3 years she had bothered with something so domestic, so normal. The ritual of it was comforting somehow. The nightmares would come tonight. They always did. Regular as clockwork, immune to medication or therapy. But maybe, just maybe, they would be a little quieter. 6 men lived because she had fought when it mattered. Dmitry Volkov was dead, unable to kill anyone else's team, unable to create more ghosts like her. It was not redemption. Nothing could redeem the loss of her team, could not bring back the friends she had failed. But it was something. A step toward peace, perhaps. A small light in the darkness that had consumed 3 years of her life. Through her window, snow had stopped entirely, stars visible between parting clouds. Christmas morning, quiet and pure. She picked up the radio, keyed it briefly, the letter M in Morse code. For mission complete. For moving forward. For maybe I can sleep tonight. 3,000 miles away, in a military hospital where Walsh and Hayes were being treated, Carter received the message. He smiled, then tucked the radio into his pocket. His team was safe, the hostage rescued. And somewhere in the mountains, a ghost had found a moment of peace. Mission accomplished on all fronts. The official mission brief would read simply, hostile force ambush, approximately 40 enemy combatants. SEAL Team 6-4 repelled attack, with support from unidentified friendly sniper. All team members returned safely. Hostage extracted successfully. Recommend commendation for unknown ally, if identity ever determined. But among the team, the story would live forever. Would be told and retold in quiet moments, over beers in dark bars where warriors gathered. The Christmas they were ambushed by 40 enemies. The Christmas they should have died. The Christmas a ghost sniper saved them all. The story would grow with each telling, but the core would remain true. Sometimes, when you need it most, help comes from the most unexpected places. They would call her the Christmas ghost sniper. In quiet moments, when civilians asked about their closest call, they would tell the story of a woman they barely met who dropped 40 enemies one by one through a blizzard on Christmas Eve. Some would believe it, others would think it embellished. The team would know the truth. Every word was real, every shot was true, every life was saved by someone who asked nothing in return. And in the mountains of Korvakistan, Aurora Hale would live quietly, hunting her food, reading by firelight, watching seasons change. The encrypted radio always charged, always within reach, always monitored. Just in case someone needed a guardian angel. Just in case she was needed again. just in case running toward the fight was better than running away from the ghosts. Years later, when Hayes told his children the story on Christmas Eve, his daughter, now 10 years old, curious and brave, asked the inevitable question, "Did the ghost lady ever come back? Did you ever see her again?" Hayes smiled, the expression carrying both sadness and hope. "No, sweetheart, but every Christmas, your Uncle Carter sends a message on an old military radio. Just one letter T for thanks. And every Christmas, someone out there in the snow sends one back. One letter. Mission complete. She's still out there, still watching over people who need help." "Will we ever meet her?" his son asked, younger, more hopeful. "Maybe not. But that's okay. Some heroes don't need parades or medals or recognition. Some heroes just need to know they made a difference." He ruffled both children's hair. "And she did. She saved 6 lives that night, including mine. Saved your dad so I could come home and meet your mom and have you too. That's worth more than any medal." Outside their home, Christmas lights twinkled in the darkness, reflecting off fresh snow, the same snow that fell every year, connecting past to present. And somewhere far away, in mountains cold and remote, a woman sat by a fire with a cup of tea and a small radio, watching snow fall on another Christmas Eve, listening to the silence, finding peace in the solitude. The nightmares still came, but they were quieter now, manageable. The faces of the dead still visited, but they no longer accused, because she had learned something that Christmas 3 years after her darkest day, something that changed everything. You cannot save everyone. The world is too big, the darkness too deep, the evil too persistent, but you can save someone. And sometimes, on cold Christmas nights when snow falls and the world seems dark, that is enough. One life saved, one team protected. One moment where you choose light over darkness, action over paralysis, courage over fear. Sometimes, that is enough.